These plants are hurting. It makes you wonder when the last time they were watered. Because these are just as bad.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know if we'd be able to do this. But in fact, we were able to do this. Hi everyone, welcome to Eastland Mall here in Columbus, Ohio. What I meant by that was, we showed up here around 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the evening, and it had said on Google that the mall closed at 7, but I had seen an abnormal amount of cars at the mall for a mall that's closed for the day. So taking a gamble, we went over here and discovered they were actually open until 8. So it gave me just enough time to go in here and walk around and put a video together for you guys. This is the first time I've ever been to this mall, and I mean, this place was just sad off of the bat, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to any place I visit, but this one was sad right off the bat. And by that, you'll see here immediately in the food court, and then you'll see in the main corridor there that they still had Christmas decorations up, or little flags that said Happy Holidays on them. Meanwhile, when we were here, it was March. Happy Holidays. Anyway, while we were here, we noticed just how dead this mall was. I find it fascinating when looking up information on this mall on Wikipedia. I think someone that works for the mall or at the mall kind of updated the Wikipedia page with a little bit of false information. And I say that because, I quote, "Despite having no anchor stores, the mall's interior is still thriving with many smaller businesses and its food court. Unusual for a store lacking anchors and thus having enough tenants to keep it from being a dead mall." But that's the problem. It is a dead mall. There are a lot of vacant tenants everywhere in this place, and as you just heard, no anchors. When the mall opened in 1968 by the Richard E. Jacobs Group, it did start off with 3 anchors and added a 4th down the line. The original anchors were JCPenney, Sears, and Lazarus. And this was the case with the other 2 malls Jacobs owned, being Northland and Westland malls. Northland is now long gone, and Westland Mall sits abandoned on the other side of town, and very little activity goes on there, and it is heavily patrolled. And as for this one, its 4th anchor that it would add years down the road would be Kaufman's, which would later become Macy's. And if you know anything about Macy's, they actually acquired Lazarus as well, but I'll get into that in just a moment.
Happy Holidays. Ultimate Lids headgear. Sugar Shack.
Anyway, although Eastland Mall was a single-story mall, all 3 of the original anchors were 2 stories rather than 1. The Sears closed off its upper level, though, in the 1980s. The mall remained under Jacobs' ownership until Glimcher Realty Trust bought it in 2003. These are the same people that own the Polaris Fashion Place, although since then they have sold it to Washington Prime Group, and they themselves have just filed for bankruptcy, literally here in June of 2021. It was only after Glimcher Realty Trust bought the mall in 2003 that they added the Kaufmans to the place. It was the first in a lifestyle prototype store featuring a smaller floor plan with wider aisles. The same year, Lazarus became Lazarus Macy's. As you know, Macy's bought out the May Corporation, plan, and that included Lazarus and Kaufman's. Macy's would then rebrand that store Lazarus Macy's. They then moved from the former Lazarus to the former Kaufman's in 2006, when the Macy's chain would purchase the Kaufman's portfolio from the May Company.
That's 45 minutes.
3 years later, Glimcher proposed to demolish the former Lazarus Macy's building for a new JCPenney while dividing JCPenney's existing store among new tenants. However, the plan would fall through and the store would remain vacant, and the JCPenney would completely leave the mall in 2015. With the closures and subsequent demolition of Northland in 2002, Eastland is now the oldest operating shopping mall in central Ohio. In 2012, Glimcher defaulted on the mall's mortgage loan and turned the property over via a deed in lieu of foreclosure to the lender, a CMBS trust that was serviced by L&R Property in August of 2014. In March 2015, the mall reportedly sold for $9.25 million. That's it.
Yeah.
And in January of 2017, Macy's announced that it would leave Eastland Mall. It closed in 2017, leaving Sears as Eastland's only remaining anchor. It's kind of ironic that Sears would be the last tenant to leave.
Wow.
But that would be short-lived, just because a few months later, they would announce that they would be closing by September of 2017, leaving the mall completely anchorless. Now, this mall itself wasn't necessarily the greatest mall I've ever been to. It definitely felt run down. I don't want to say dirty. Again, I don't want to disrespect anybody that works there or makes a living working there or whatnot or likes the place, but it has seen better days. The plants around the place, I mean, with all honesty, how hard is it to go around and water them? They all look like they were just starving, like they were drying up. And unfortunately, with the amount of empty tenants in here, the smell of mold and must just kind of wafts through the air. And that's not good for many reasons, because when you go there as a shopper, it kind of turns you off if you're not into that. And for the employees, I can only imagine how they are breathing that in round the clock every day. Now, granted, the people that we ran into here, the people running these stores and the kiosks and everything, everybody here was super nice, very nice to us, and I did feel welcome at this mall. However, there just isn't a whole lot of selection here anymore. And it's not exactly in the greatest of areas, too. Prior to coming over to the mall, we were filming the abandoned Lazarus store right across the street from here, and there were police helicopters and a police presence going around, and I learned at that point that it wasn't the safest of neighborhoods, which I think is also part of the reason why the mall kind of declined. However, I do want to mention that Polaris Mall, which isn't all that far away, that's one of the most thriving malls in the area, but it has now seen its fair share of crime. And by that, I mean, just recently, and as a matter of fact, a week after we were at Polaris, there was a shooting there, and then there was another shooting just a couple of weeks later. And that's kind of the problem with Eastland Mall, too. They've fell victim to some shootings there of their own, and I can see why that would drive people to not want to shop there anymore. Besides the huge online presence that has really hurt most malls in our country. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up talking. I hope you enjoyed listening to me just kind of blabber on, and I want you to enjoy the rest of the mall video. And if you do, make sure you give the video a like, and if you're not a subscriber, you know the drill. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, stay awesome. On Kayla's behalf, have a Kmartlicious day, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody. Stay tuned for whatever we got coming up next. Eastland? Now that's my kind of mall. I bet you they don't have any food in there, though. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. But that's probably my favorite sign. If all the signs are going to be missing letters, I like this one the most because I'm fat and I'm wearing a rack shirt. So that's right up my alley. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Bye, everyone.